I want to show you the auto sizing content now. This will hopefully help you size up the value of the MEP Productivity Pack. Let's take a look at how this auto sizing works in the Revit environment. Over here in Revit, what we're going to do is play with just a couple of components, right? I could show you auto sizing on a ton of different things. I'm picking this because it's going to help me show you both mechanical and electrical sizing componentry at the same exact time. So right now I've got an air terminal here. This happens to be a Titus TMS AA 3-cone diffuser. Also down here I have a DESV Titus inline single duct VAV. And we're going to play with these two components and see how this auto sizing can work to your advantage. Now I want to show you a couple of properties. If you want to have a pencil and paper out, take note of these things so you can remember them. That's fantastic, or just remember them and we'll kind of look back at them in a moment here. First up, let's take a look at this VAV box and what some of its current auto-calculated values are. We have a neck size of 5 inches right now. This is a round intake duct at 5 inches. We have an outlet at 12 by 8. Also, right now, we have in our heating properties down here, currently at the coil, the fan velocity is 300 feet per minute of air. Okay, we got some basic numbers to kind of take a look at. And our supply airflow right now, of course, is calculated at 200 CFM, and that is representative here of what's going on at the air terminal. Now let's take a step away from this for a moment and look at the air terminal itself. The air terminal has some properties on it as well. It's got 200 CFM of air. You can see that right here in my flow and also represented right there in the tag. In addition to that, if I go over here and take a look, I can see some other auto-calculated properties like the throw distances at 150 feet per minute, at 100 feet per minute, and at 50 feet per minute, and what those distances actually are. So I got 4 foot, 7 foot, and 13 feet. All right, there's obviously a lot of other properties here. The neck velocity at 572 feet per minute, give or take. Right, so there's all kinds of values here that are being auto-calculated for me. Now what I'm going to do is just change one property. I'm going to change how much air is going through this diffuser. Maybe I recalculated this room and instead of 200 CFM, for whatever reason it needs 500 CFM. And I'm just going to try and push it all through one diffuser just for this example so you can kind of see what happens here. So I'm going to put in 500 CFM and we're going to see one very basic thing update immediately. We're going to see the 200 right here change to 500, but you're also going to see the neck size right there automatically calculate itself out. No longer is it an 8-inch neck, it's now a 10-inch neck. You can also see if I go over here back into the properties that the throw distance there at the different speeds, 100 feet per minute, instead of 4 feet, now it's 6 feet. And I've got 9 foot now at the 100 foot, or 100 feet per minute. And 50 feet per minute, instead of, I think it was 14 feet, now we're looking at 17 feet. And the neck velocity went from 500 something now to 900 something. So this is automatically updating this information. Now you also have one other interesting property here. If this was perhaps a diffuser that you're relocating in your project, maybe it's an existing diffuser, you don't have the ability to use a 10-inch neck because you don't want to order another one, you're just going to force this thing into an 8-inch neck. If I put that value on there, if you pay attention to these numbers down below here, you're going to see those distances update. You're also going to see, if I go down here to the neck velocity, that value update. All of these are being auto-calculated based on industry calculations or based on Titus's catalog because this happens to be a Titus component. We've got a lot of components in our project like that. Now we've been focusing a lot on the air terminal right now. I'm going to set this back to 0 so it goes back and auto-calculates its neck. But I'm going to go back here to the VAV box and we're going to look at some of its properties. Now if you remember before it was a 5-inch inlet. Now it's a 7-inch inlet. And maybe that's not what I want to use. Maybe I want to force this to an 8-inch inlet so I'm not using some odd size. We'll go to an 8-inch right there. So I'm using even numbers all the way around. So I set that at 8-inch and maybe I want my ductwork here to be 8 inches as well. So of course I can pick the ductwork and say, yeah, instead of being a 5-inch diameter, you're going to go ahead and be an 8-inch diameter. So I make that change. And that of course makes this a straight run all the way down now because it doesn't need to neck down as it comes into this air terminal. Or in this VAV box rather. Also on the outlet, instead of being 12 by 8, it's now 12 by 10. If I look over here in my information, I'm seeing at the heating coil fan velocity, I see instead of the 300 feet per minute it was before, now 600 feet per minute. And also my fan area is updating right there. My supply airflow obviously has updated itself as well. So this is all information being either calculated from the duct system or reading from a type catalog that was directly based on Titus's catalog of information. And again, there's all kinds of equipment in these systems that are doing this all automatically. Now I'm going to change this out. Right now this is a hot water reheat, so of course I'm getting some mechanical information right here, but you know what? What if I want to know some of my electrical data based on this being an electric reheat VAV box? So I'm going to drop this information down here, go back up to the auto sizing VAV box and choose something like a 277 volt single phase auto size box. As soon as I make that change, this now tells me I've got electric reheat coils, and you can see right here I've got some real power updating of 6,500 watts of energy for this. I can see that I have an MOCP of 30 amps. Now, an interesting thing here for those of you, the electrical engineers, you go, yeah, but I want to override that. I don't want 30 amps. I want to size this to 35 amps. That's what I want the MOCP to be listed out as. Well, great. I can go up here to the MOCP and type in 35 amp. And as I make that change, I can manually override any of these individual values here. And as I do that, it's going to calculate anything else out that I did not override based on the properties that are going on from this heating system here. So that's now 35 amp for the MOCP. Put this back to 0, I can reset that back down and let it do whatever its auto calculation happens to be here. Now you know what? I'm going to change this information back. Instead of this being 500 CFM, let's put this back to the original 200 CFM and see what happens to that 6,500 watts on that VAV box. Let's go 200 CFM here, make that design change. Of course, my numbers are going to update here. The 8-inch neck is automatic. Coming back to this box, it's going to change its dimensions to whatever it is supposed to be. I probably don't need that 8-inch neck anymore, so if I put this back at 0, it should automatically size this down, and I have a 5-inch neck now on that. Maybe I want to put that at 6 inches, of course, so I don't use some kind of an odd size, perhaps, of ductwork or transition. So I can make those changes, but let's go down and take a look. Instead of 6,500 watts of real power now, it's giving me 3,000 watts of power. Again, all auto-calculated. There's a ton of areas inside of Revit here where we've built in auto calculations of the content that's included, and the serious flexibility here where you can go through and change these pieces of equipment out and override values, so you effectively have nearly an infinite number of pieces of content that you can work with. Well, I hope you found this valuable here, so you can go through and decide whether or not the auto sizing content is meaningful for you, but also take a look at some of our other videos that are available in this little demo series. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate your time.